Hey guys, Rusty over here, and I didn't think I'd ever be saying this because I didn't think it was doable, but I am going to be showing you how you can solo Glory of the Tomb Raider. I will leave chapters and timestamps down below if you want to skip to specific achievements, but a little bit of a longer intro this time around because I feel like there are some important details. The main one being, guys, a few of these achievements they're just the worst to solo. They're the worst thing ever. They are more frustrating than Ian's response as to why Conduit Energy is still in the game and hasn't been removed yet. They're that bad. I didn't think it could get worse than that. These trying to solo these achievements did. And you know what you get for it? You get a title and a pet. I'm going to be real with you guys. It is not worth it to try and solo this. Now, this video is still helpful if you bring a friend in. So let me tell you right now. If you want to make your life easier, bring one extra person. The more people you bring, the better, by the way. But even if you just bring in one extra person, the achievements that are a pain in the ass are just made so much easier by that one extra person. However, if you're a complete nutcase like me and you want to try and solo this, it is possible to solo. So, let's get right into it. Now, one shirt and time of day change later. Let's start with the first achievement, which is going to be Fel Turkey, which is simply destroy 30 of the infernal spikes with shattering stars. I do also want to mention before I move on, you can and should track this achievement. It'll start off red, and once you meet the criteria, the achievement will turn white from red. Now, you're going to want a pet class to do this. I will say it is possible to do this without a pet class, although it is significantly harder without the pet class. Now, the way this works is that throughout the fight, the boss will spawn these infernal spikes, which always spawn on you, the player. There'll be like a little gray patch on the ground. He'll show you in the video, of course. And then a few seconds later, it'll erupt with an infernal spike. So what you're going to want to do is position yourself in a way. I like to go long ways. Let your pet get aggro on the boss. And once it has good enough aggro, you want to DPS the boss down to around 15-20%, right? More on that in a second. Essentially, it's because the boss, by the end of this achievement, is going to hit the enrage timer. So make sure you do that. Now, what you want to do is essentially position the infernal spikes in a way that they're in a straight line from you to the boss, or from the boss to you. And again, they always spawn on you, so if you have an add-on like DBM, you could see when they're spawning. You always want to position it in a way so they're in a straight line. And the way what the boss is going to do, eventually he's going to throw a shattering star, which is a giant meteor at you. There will be an arrow pointing from the boss to you, and you want the shattering star to go through the infernal spikes, which will destroy them, and once you have destroyed 30 of them, you will get the achievement. Now, unfortunately, it's not that simple. There's a couple things you need to know. The boss will also destroy spikes if he walks over them, hence why you want a pet class to do this. Again, you can do this without a pet class, but you'll probably end up doing it one pillar at a time, meaning you'll be in enrage for a long time, and you'll probably just end up dying without super gear. So basically, you need a tank spec that's pretty geared if you want to do this non-pet class. Now, the boss will also destroy this, and this is the important one, through Crashing Comet. He will spawn two circles on you. One is the Burning Armor tank debuff. That one won't destroy the pillar, so just look at your debuffs. Crashing Comet will, though, which is the giant green circle around you. And again, one of the circles, there's two of them. So basically, guys, whenever there's a green circle around you, if you want to play it safe, don't stand in the pillars. If that hits the pillar, it will destroy them. Now, the boss will also cast Infernal Burning when he reaches full energy. I believe it's full energy, but essentially, he'll be casting Infernal Burning, which, if you get hit by that, it will, first of all, it destroys all pillars, but if you get hit, if you don't line of sight behind the pillar and you get hit, you'll get knocked back and you'll take a dot. Now, sometimes you'll just get hit no matter what, which is the way the pillar spawn works, which is fine. The damage isn't that big of a deal, and if you're playing a hunter, for example, you could disengage back, but it will destroy the pillars, so if there are any pillars up at that point, you might as well hide behind them, right? And that's pretty much it for this achievement, guys. Just to reiterate, just a short version. Spawn infernal pillars in a line. Make sure they get hit with Shattering Star. And the reason why you want to get the boss low is that you will hit the enrage timer with this, and you will be decently into it. Once the boss does hit enrage, you should be close or basically just done with the 30 infernal spikes. So keep your pet alive as long as you can. Again, I did this on my level 50 hunter. If you're doing this at level 60 with a decent item level, the enrage shouldn't be that big of a deal for you, but you will hit enrage. So essentially, just stay alive as much as you can. And once you've destroyed all 30 spikes, go ahead, DPS the boss down, you'll get the achievement. And again, this achievement is made much, much easier with 2 players, as Infernal Spikes will be spawning on 2 players, which means more spikes. So if one of you is a pet class, for example, and the other one's whatever, stack on top of each other, that's double the Infernal Spikes, meaning you will never hit the enrage as long as you do it correctly, and it'll be much easier for you, and you'll get it done much quicker. let's move on. Now, the next achievement is going to be Grin and Bear It, which is simply kill Demonic Inquisition, the 2 bosses, while you are at Maximum Torment. Maximum Torment being when your bar is full and your screen is a little bit red. So while you are at Maximum Torment, you're essentially going to do a lot less damage as most of your abilities will just miss. So what you're going to want to do before that bar hits red, you want to get the bosses to low HP. I'd say around 10% HP is probably fine, assuming you're doing this at level 60. You could get it lower if you want though. And then the second your bar is maximum energy, it's fully filled and your screen turns a little red, you're at Maximum Torment. Kill off the bosses. That's the achievement done. Now, if you're struggling to get the bosses to low HP before you hit Maximum Torment, not a big deal. Just when you do, use your extra action button. You go in Bell X Cage, hit the ad a little bit, collect the glowing orbs. You'll come back out and your bar will be reset, allowing you to get them much lower before you hit Maximum Torment again. So again, guys, just to reiterate, get the bosses low HP, fill up your bar until you're Maximum Torment, kill the bosses. Achievement done. Easy game. Now, the next achievement for Harjatan is going to be Grand Finale. In order to do this, you need a toy from Legion, and you need to complete 2 specific world quests and 1 very small quest chain in High Mountain. Now, the 2 world quests, unfortunately, you do have to wait for them to spawn. One of them being Claws for Alarm, which spawns in Suramar. I'll show you the location on the map where that spawns. And also the Now That's Just Clawful, which is a world quest in Stormheim. Now, the small quest chain in High Mountain does spawn at King Murgle something. He's, the King Murloc guy in the costume in northern High Mountain. Again, we'll of course show you on the map where that spawns or where that starts. And once you complete those, you'll gain an achievement. You'll get the toy called the Murgle Horn. And all you're going to do, pull Harjatan, use the Murgle Horn, and ad will spawn. I think his name is Elder Murkai. Kill off Elder Murkai, kill the boss. You'll get the achievement. Amazing. Again, the only annoying part about this achievement is really if you don't have the toy, first of all, bring a friend who does. Hey, there you go. Or you unfortunately have to wait for the 2 world quests, or the 1 in Suramar and the world quest in Stormheim to spawn, and of course complete the small quest line in northern High Mountain. So the next achievement is going to be Wax On, Wax Off, Danielson. Now, go over to the Sisters of the Moon and clear out most of the trash around the room, except for in the back left. I'll of course show you in the video where it is. There's going to be the Twilight Soul. Don't kill that while you're clearing trash. Go ahead, taunt that, or just aggro it, and pull it into the boss room and pull the boss. Now, you're going to want to DPS the boss down below 20% HP. Again, do not kill the ad right away. Once the boss is below 20% HP, it'll turn blue from purple, and then you could go ahead, kill the ad, then kill the boss, and you'll get the achievement. That's it. Again, boss gets below 20% HP, the ad turns blue, kill it, kill boss, GG. Simple enough, let's move on. Now, the next achievement is going to be Great Soul, Great Purpose for the Desolate Host. Now, this is the first of 2 bosses where you need to be able to do a lot of burst damage in order to kill it. Essentially, guys, you need a pretty high item level in order to do this. I did this around 225, I'm a DH, although the lowest, again, there's just a random number on the top of my head. I think I probably could have done it around 215. In patch 9.1, when it eventually comes out, though, that shouldn't be too difficult to reach, guys. So you need to be able to do a lot of damage. Now, once you pull the boss, right under the Engine of Souls, there's going to be like this little yellow swirly on the ground. Immediately move to that swirly and catch the soul, and it'll be like a little golden orb on top of your head. If you miss it, wipe, reset the boss, as it will despawn. Now, as soon as you catch the soul, by the way, make sure you're doing damage the whole time. As soon as you catch the soul, pop all your cooldowns, everything you have. You need to nuke the boss down. I think you have about, I think it was 25 or 30 seconds before the soul essentially despawns on your head. Now, if you're at a low gear level and you want to do this, bring another player. What you will do is, one player will click on one of these soul fonts around the room and go into the soul realm. It'll basically, instead of despawning, it'll bounce into the soul realm, and there will be another swirly, and the second player can then pick it up, bouncing it back and forth between the realms. However, if you're soloing, you obviously can't go into the soul realm and recatch it. Trust me, I tried. You have to burn the boss down before it goes off the top of your head, meaning you need a pretty high item level. And that's it. Burn the boss down before the orb despawns. Now, the next achievement is going to be 5-course seafood buffet. And again, just like the first achievement, you can track this. It'll start off red and turn white once you have met the criteria. Now, the way this achievement works is that you need to feed the whale that sucks you in towards him 5 different items. Now, I will explain what those items are in a second, but first things first, the boss phases at 70% and 40% HP. Now, once you pull the boss, she will do a debuff called, I think it's Consuming Hunger. And once this time's out, it'll spawn a Murloc. So it's up to you. You can push the boss to 70% HP, because she'll also do that debuff in the last phase. or you can wait for one of the Murlocs to spawn. It's up to you. I prefer to wait just to have the Murloc out and ready to go. Do not kill it once it spawns though. Now, if you decide to wait, push the boss to 70% HP, and that'll push her into phase 2. Now, again, she will phase at 40% HP into phase 3, but do not phase her right away if you have really high DPS. Wait for her to summon, I think the whale's name is Saracool. Essentially, it's the one that sucks you in. That is going to be the whale that you need to feed. Now, once she does that, push her below 40% HP, as if she casts the suck in ability twice. The suck in will be too strong, and you'll eventually, well, you'll get sucked in and you'll die because you won't be able to escape it. Now, here is where you're going to feed the whale 5 different items. Now, let's start with the easy ones first. The first one being the ink sauce. The boss, and this is an important one too, more on that in a second. The boss will spawn these purple patches on the ground. Once you run in them, you'll gain a debuff. Run into the outer circle of the suck-in, and that'll feed the boss. Now, only feed it once. If you feed the whale, I don't think it's 2 times, but it could be. I think it's, if you feed him 3 of the ink pools, the whale will go away, and then you're boned for the rest of the fight. So do not feed him more than 3 of the ink pools. However, 1 is obviously required for the achievement. The Hydra essence comes from the Hydra shot. Once the boss, essentially the boss is going to put a green line from you to her. Once she does that, again, stand on the outer edge of the circle. Once the debuff expires and she fires the Hydra shot at you, the boss will essentially suck it off you and it'll gain the Hydra essence. That's 2 down. Third easiest one being the Eel Tartar, or Tartare, whatever. Anyways, Eel Tartar. Essentially, those abyss eels that spawn, the adds that spawn, go ahead and you want to DPS them down. It has to be 10% HP is the lowest. It can also be below. I've had it sometimes also work around 11%. It's a little weird. More on that in a second with the Murloc. They have to be below or at that point, and the whale will suck them in as long as they're in the outer circle, right? And that will be the Eel Tartar. Voice crack, bonus one. Make fun of me. Now, the Murloc fillet, which is why you want the Murloc, right? This is going to be the most annoying part about the achievement. You need to get the Murlocs below 10% or 10% HP or below. Again, sometimes I've had it work around 11% HP. I'll show you footage of that. So in order to do this, you need to find the right balance of taking off gear. For example, by the way, your weapon should never be on for this. Take your weapon off. This is might take you multiple pulls to find the right balance. Essentially, I did this on my druid to get me around, I think it was around either 145 or 155 item level. That's what worked for me. Essentially, guys, this is going to take you multiple pulls to find the right balance of taking your gear off. So just keep taking more and more gear off until you eventually hit the sweet spot. You might have to put some back on. Essentially, guys, you need to get the Murlocs to 10% HP or below. Put them in the outer circle. The whale will suck it in, and that'll be the Murloc fillet. Now, the last one you want to do is the player seasoning. It's exactly what it sounds like. Essentially, the whale has to eat you. Now, this normally would kill you if this was current content. However, with current gear levels and damage reductions, it is doable. So what you're going to want to do, obviously, if you do this as a tank, that'd be helpful, but you can also do this as DPS. I do want to say that. It is possible. Pop every single defensive cooldown you have. Run into the inner circle, and the second he gains the player seasoning debuff, as soon as it goes green, you need to get the hell out of there because that thing will kill you very quickly if you stay in it, even at these gear levels. So again, dip in, feed him a little bit, dip out. Now, I'm not sure if immunities will work. You might actually have to take the damage for it to count. I did not test it out myself, so let me know in the comments down below if immunities do work. And if they do, I will pin a comment, so keep an eye out for that. So once you have fed the whale essentially all 5 of the different foods, achievement will turn completely green. Right? It'll be all good. As soon as all the achievement or the criteria has been met, you could go ahead and kill off Mistress Sazin. This might take you multiple attempts until you find the correct balance to actually get the Murlocs below 10% HP. That's 2 voice cracks for this video. Now, a smart person would edit that out. I would keep it in for the lols. Let's move on. Moving on to the most annoying achievement out of this entire meta achievement, in my opinion, of course, is going to be Luke Skywalker, or Skywalker. Now, this is going to be the Maiden of Vigilance achievement. Now, I recommend personally doing this as a Vengeance Demon Hunter. I think it makes it a little bit easier, assuming you're decently geared, right? However, doing this on a pet class like a Hunter or Warlock, honestly, maybe even a DK, also has its own merit. We'll go into more of that in a second. For now, let's focus on the Vengeance Demon Hunter and how you actually get this achievement. Now, you need to collect all the Titanic anomalies. Now, if you look down in basically that center pit, there'll be like this little blue orb when you pull the boss. Now, if you jump in that center pit, unless you're a pet class, which with a pet that has aggro, the boss will despawn at the pull. What you're going to want to wait is for the boss to eventually teleport to the other side of the room. And if you then jump in the pit, the boss will not despawn while she's casting her main ability, spawning all the orbs around the room. Now, what you're going to want to do is purposely get yourself the bomb debuff. If you don't know how to do this, first of all, she'll do it randomly throughout the first phase until she teleports. Once she teleports, you want to collect the orb that is the opposite color of the debuff on you. If you have the yellow debuff, collect the green ones. If you have the green debuff, collect the yellow one, and you'll get a bomb debuff on you. Once this bomb debuff expires, you'll get knocked up into the air. Or more importantly, if you jump in the pit, you'll get knocked out of the pit. So what you're going to want to do is around 3 seconds is what I found on my Vengeance Demon Hunter at least. You want to jump into the pit and essentially fall through the blue Titanic anomaly, and you will get knocked out of it. The reason why Vengeance works is that, well, we have Glide. Now, a little tip on that, if you are, this is just what I noticed, this could be a little bit of a bug, if you are gliding as you pass through the Titanic anomaly, it will not register, so just use the glide to position yourself and then cancel the glide so you fall through it. Now, once you collect the first one, 4 other blue orbs will spawn in the pit down below. I've noticed throughout the polls of doing this, you will be able to get 2 orb bombs if you do it quick enough. So essentially, you can get 2 Titanic anomalies through each phase 2 before she stops spawning the orbs. So go ahead, just keep trying to collect those Titanic anomalies, keep jumping into the pit. This will take, sorry about the phone. This might take you multiple times to get used to and practice until you eventually get the timing down in order to collect the anomalies. Once you are out of bombs and the orbs stop spawning, make sure to break the boss's shield and interrupt her before she hits 30 stacks of the buff she gets, otherwise she'll instantly kill you. And essentially, guys, it's really just rinse and repeat from there. Keep waiting until the boss gets to phase 2. By the way, neat little trick, if you stand where I am standing in the video, the bomb she puts on you in phase 1 will not knock you up in the air, as you're technically hitting a wall above you. Now, once you collect all 4 of the Titanic anomalies in the pit down below, 4 more will spawn above the pit. So essentially what you're going to want to do is kind of the same thing, except instead of jumping in the pit, you want to stay basically on the outer edge of it and time it in a way so that as soon as you get knocked up, you get knocked up into the blue Titanic anomalies. Again, you could use glide to position yourself. Just make sure that when you go through the orb, you're not actually gliding if you're doing this as a DH. Otherwise, it will not register. Again, that's just what I've noticed. I don't know if that's just a bug. Let me know if it's a problem with you guys in the comments down below. And you're just going to want to keep doing that until you eventually collect all anomalies and you can kill the boss. I will note, if you do hit in rage with the boss, which is very, very likely, assuming you're doing this on a non-pet class, you can still live through it. If you could heal yourself through it, she will still go into that phase 2, allowing you to continue. However, this might be a little bit easier on a pet class. Reason why is that you can also do this during a phase 1, then you don't have to wait for her to teleport. You will just let your pet get aggro, and when the bombs are put on you in phase 1, you can then jump into the center without the boss spawning, allowing you essentially more chances to go ahead and collect the orbs, or the blue orbs. Or you could do what I've been recommending throughout the video. Instead of soloing this, you could bring a friend, more friends. Obviously, the more people, the easier this is. One person gets aggro on the boss, the other person worries about collecting the orbs, or if you're both pet classes, you can let your pets get the aggro, and then you can both do it. Essentially, guys, more chances to collect the orbs. This is the hardest achievement, in my opinion, in this meta achievement. This will probably take you multiple attempts and practice in order to get it done. So, just to reiterate, if you're doing this on a non-pet class, wait till the boss teleports to the other side of the room for her phase 2, get a bomb debuff by collecting the opposite color orb, jump in the center until you collect all 5 of the orbs down there. Do the same thing once you have the orbs above, except don't jump in the center. Once you collect all the orbs, you can kill the boss, and then you can move on to Avatar, which is a bit easier. Moving on to the second last achievement, and that is going to be Bingo for the Fallen Avatar. And while this one is technically a DPS check, it is a very, very easy one to meet. Essentially, you need to kill the boss before he casts Rupture Realities in phase 2. Now, once you pull the boss, the way he transitions in the phase 2 is A, he reaches 20% HP, or B, he reaches full energy. And the way he gains energy is that green line going into him. So what you're going to want to do, once the green line spawns, simply drag the maiden so she's taking it instead. And you want to find a good balance of DPSing the boss, but not the 20% HP. As once the boss hits 20% HP, if that maiden's still alive, he'll eat the maiden and heal based on how much health she has left. So essentially get the boss low. Once you feel like you have the boss at a good amount of health left, you could go ahead, kill the maiden off, keep DPSing the boss until he goes into phase 2. Ideally, you would get him around 20% health. Now, once you're in phase 2, simply kill him off before he even casts Rupture Realities, and you'll get the achievement. If he does cast Rupture Realities, sometimes you get the achievement anyways. It's all dependent on positioning. I could explain how it's supposed to work, guys, but in my opinion, it is just so much easier to simply kill the boss before he even casts Rupture Realities. If you can't do that, then what are you even doing soloing this achievement? You got to get more gear, guys, because you're not going to be able to do the next one. Let's move on. Moving on to the final achievement for Kill Jaden, and that's going to be Dark Souls. Fantastic game, by the way, and that's to simply kill all the Shadow Soul ads before they have a chance at finishing their cast, or before they finish their cast. Now, if you are soloing this, essentially you need to kill the boss before that happens. So what you're going to do is save all your DPS cooldowns. Bloodlust, if you don't have a Bloodlust class, definitely buy drums off the auction house. You can also use potions, all that stuff, essentially all DPS stuff. Save it for when the boss is getting to about 40% HP. Go ahead again, keep DPSing until he gets to that point, and once he gets to around like 45-43%, again, this might vary depending on your spec, pop all your DPS, cooldowns, everything you have, and nuke the boss down. Once the boss actually hits 40% HP, he'll start a really long cast. I forgot the name of the ability. Essentially to the point where if he finishes, it'll turn your screen dark. It'll also spawn the ads, and they'll get their cast off, and you'll fail the achievement. So you need to kill the boss before he finishes that cast, and that is it. There's just no other way around it if you are soloing it. You need to kill the boss before he finishes that cast. Again, if you bring a second player, hey, that's an extra person to help you DPS the boss down. You're going to need a pretty high item level. This is probably a harder burn than the Desolate Host achievement. I was around 225, and I was still kind of close to him finishing the cast. Now again, in 9.1, there will be much higher item level, so it shouldn't be too hard to reach this point. But right now, it can definitely be pretty difficult if you're doing the solo to try and burn the boss down in time. So I absolutely recommend you guys bring a friend, guildmate, or even a pug, right, that you could do this with. And that is it, guys. That is how you solo every single achievement for Glory of the Tomb Raider. Now, again, a lot of these are kind of a pain in the butt. They're really annoying to do. I still don't think it's as hard as Glory of the Thundering Raider to solo, just my opinion. But this is definitely on the harder side to solo. Again, just my opinion. Some of you might find this much easier, but really, guys, if you just bring that one extra person, a lot of the pain points for these achievements are made just so much easier, guys. Bring a friend, a guildmate, a pug, just bring someone. Trust me, it makes it easier. But that is it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. I always do my best to answer them. Don't always get to all of them, right? But I do my best to answer the ones that I can. If the video helped you out, throw it a like. It helps me out. Sub to the channel if you love me, because trust me, I love you. And as always, like this is key to every single video. Like, I know a lot of you are getting tired of this. I don't care. This is key. People need to know. It's a fact. Halo 3 is the best Halo. That's it. That is it. Deal with it. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.